Good evening and welcome to Calling All Christians. My name is Mike, and today is July 26, 2020. It's about 9 o'clock in the evening. I'm on the East Coast in Massachusetts, and this is the day the Lord's made. It's a Sunday. I hope you had a great Sunday. I try to take Sundays and try to follow what the Bible says is just totally rest. It's difficult to do. Um, And as as we're reading through the Bible, the Sabbath day becomes a pretty important part of Christian walk, and it's it's kind of because the Old Testament says some things, and then the New Testament, I think, when the Pharisees or Sadducees asked Jesus about how they were, they were working or gathering food on the Sabbath. And I think his answer said something like, "Well, when they're with I think I can't do it exactly, but it's like basically when the Lord is with them or the bridegroom is with them, that you know they don't fast, but when he's gone, then they do." And I'd have to look it up exactly, but and then the Old Testament, of course, it was part of the law that on the Sabbath day. You really did no work. And it's difficult to do absolutely no work. You have to prepare your food in advance. On the Jewish Saturday was uh, Jewish Sabbath was on Saturday, so they would have prepared all the food on Friday, and then they wouldn't have had to cook. They would have had to just eat what they had prepared Friday. Um, but people, they don't. I don't think they follow those rules so much anymore. We probably should be all following those rules, but it's difficult to say. But it's like following Jesus. You look at your Christian walk. Sometimes it's it's hard to say, well, what should I do? And then you have to think about take some time and think about what did they do in Jesus's day. Okay, think about his uh, disciples that he called, and they journeyed with him on his mission. Um, and what did they do? Really, Jesus was being led by his Father, so everything that was happening to him, he was about his Father's work. I mean, even in when Joseph and Mary took him to I think it was Bethlehem. When they went to leave, he was in the temple with the elders, teaching them about his Father. And he stayed there, and they left, and then they realized that he wasn't with them. They had to go back, and they were upset. And Jesus said, didn't you know that I have to be about my Father's business? So, and his disciples at that time, when they were traveling with him, they traveled, and then he taught them. He spoke to the public basically in parables, from what the Bible tells us, because that's the only way that's the way he said they couldn't learn. They wouldn't understand any other way but in parables. But when he was in private with his disciples, he explained the parables to the disciples. That's covered in the Bible. But then they went from town to town. They were either they preached the gospel, and Jesus took care of they go into a town and people would come up and they'd want to be cured by of their diseases and afflictions, and Jesus would heal many of them. Okay, and he would talk to them of the gospel. Right, but that's what they did. They just moved from place to place as Jesus' Father directed him, and his apostles went along and learned of what they were to do. So Jesus taught them along the way. So if we transpose that, so to speak, to today, in this time, as we walk around, of course, the Spirit of the Lord is always with us. He never leaves us. He's with everyone. And he teaches us, even though we can't see him, we have faith that he's there. We believe that he's there. That's a requirement for the Christian faith. And so we actually are like the disciples, walking along in our day with him, and he's leading us to these places in our life. So you have to look at every place that you end up going as a place that the Lord wanted you to go. And as you go along, traveling through your route, my route's going to be different than yours unless we were together walking, and then our routes would be the same. But individually, my route is going to be different than yours. We're still walking with Jesus, but he has things to teach me that he's not teaching you at that point in time. And he has things to teach you that he's not teaching me at that time. And we can see those, the teachings that he taught his disciples, we can see those in our walk throughout our day. If we walk it and live with Jesus, just like the disciples did. Only we're in 2020, and they were way back in Jesus' time, many thousands of years ago. But the circumstances that come up, even though they're of a different age, have the same foundational building. That we can find the answer for all of them right in the Bible. As he taught his disciples. This is, these are the things you need to do. He taught the people as he walked through the towns. Of course, most people basically wanted to be healed by him. They had that, he could fulfill their need. A lot of them didn't go to Jesus because they just wanted to be with Jesus. They went for something for themselves. And we find that pretty much throughout the New Testament. But there's so many things that we learn in the Bible that we should just put to use as we walk along each day. When something happens, you can look at that situation and think about Jesus and say, well, why, you could see the relationship, why that came into your life at that point in time. It's because he has already taught you what to do in the Bible. And sometimes we don't catch it, we miss it. And sometimes we do catch it and realize what we have to do and do it. Okay? It's like the other day for myself, this is my own personal experience. I had a friend that she came to the door. She goes down and picks up my wife's mail every day. So Judy doesn't have, well, Judy's got a broken arm right now, so she has a tough time getting around anyway. So when she was at the door, she mentioned she has a difficult situation that's arrived in her life. And it's a very, very difficult situation for her to deal with. So I was standing there, and the Spirit usually always prompts me because I was reading in a book, one of the inspirations about Jesus. It said, it was talking about prayer. And it was saying that, as you pass through each day with Him, there'll be circumstances that come up that somebody needs prayer. And you can pray for them, right? You can pray for them. You can go home and put them on a prayer list and whatever you got to do. Or you can pray right there with them because that's when the prayer was noticed and needed. And you only have to pray it once because God hears all prayers. Okay, so I asked her to grab hands. We did. And then I prayed to the Lord and He knows what's going on because He created that in her life. So I asked His will be done. That's it. But it was right then, right there. Now I could have walked down walked outside the building or something, and another person I could see had a problem, and I could have gone over and prayed with them. And most people, I found that in that kind of situation, they appreciate that because there's a lot of situations where people don't know what to do. They need help. God is really the only help anyone should ask for. I mean, He may send someone to them. You pray for them, and then an hour later, the cure for that situation comes into their life. You will never know. You may never know. Sometimes you will. The person will say, "Oh, we prayed, and all of a sudden, it came into now it's all solved." Well, the prayer solved it because we put it in the hands of Jesus, and that's the only place for any problem or any joy to be put. There is no other place to put it. A lot of people don't do it. They keep that situation and trouble to themselves. Well, they pray about it maybe, which is good because then they're putting it in the Lord's hands. But some don't. They just don't know what to do. But if you're prompted, pray right then with the person. That way you don't have to worry about it. You say, well, I'll put you in my prayers, and then you go home and you forget and you don't pray for them. Or you just can, without even joining hands, you don't even have to say a word. You could just pray for them. In there, and right there in you just pray for right in your mind. You just talk to Jesus and say, "Can you help this person? Your will be done." And prayer doesn't have to be fancy, and there's nothing wrong with the fancy prayers and stuff. It's still prayer, but really straightforward. The simpler, the better. He said, "Simplicity is the keynote to heaven." He knows. He knows your heart. He knows, that you're trying. We always don't do things right, but so I think we have to learn to just live with Jesus. Of course, we read the Bible, you go to church, you have your Christian friends, but you really need to walk around each day consciously with Jesus. And sometimes He doesn't even want you to leave your home. I mean, right now, we don't leave the home because we got these crazy things going on that they've basically got everything locked down, shut off. Hopefully this month coming, But you still can go out. I go out. I go out and just sit on a bench somewhere. I had to go pick up a friend today at a hospital up in Taunton. I was supposed to go Monday. Today, the Lord put it in my path today, so I got up, went today. That was a strange situation too. Although the hospital really wasn't, that busy. I mean, they had people in there and stuff. You have to wear a mask going inside, of course. But see, he called me, and I try not to go out on the Sabbath day. But there we can go to where Jesus said to the Pharisees. They were saying, well, you're not supposed to go out on the Sabbath. And he said, well, if your animal fell into a ditch, you would go in and get it out, so you would lose it, because they'd be doing that so they don't have to spend the money to get another one. But Jesus would have done that because to reach out to the animal to give it the help it needed to get out of this situation. No profit or worry about profit on the situation. And that's what he was basically, that's why it came up. Because he said, to do good. So today, when that came up in my path, he put it in my path. I could have said to her, oh, I can't come today. No, I could go today. She needed to come home today. She's 92 years old. She needed to get out of there. I guess her roommate, at the time that they moved in with her, was a little wiry, so she kept her awake all night. So this woman wasn't getting any sleep. So it was time for her to get out, and the Lord put me in that path to do the job. That's it. So we have to live with him each day. That's our job, to live with him. You live with your family, your friends. You live with your family, your wife if you're married, or your girlfriend if you're just living together. You should get married. We actually are married, according to the Bible. But anyway, I think people have to understand that they really need to wake up in the morning and just say, good morning, Jesus, and just let him guide your life. If you get no direct commands from him, so to speak, then you just go about your business. You get up, you get dressed, you eat breakfast, you sit down, maybe say some more prayers to him, and then nothing happens. So you go on about you say, well, I got to go down here and do this. You go do it. And on the way down, maybe a situation pops into your life that you can do a good deed for another person. Love one another as you love yourselves. It's another part of the command, the greatest command. Like you love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and all your strength. When you woke up and say, good morning, Jesus, you complied with that one. Okay. So it's, try to live with him each day. Not just know about him, not just study the Bible, not just go to church. Those things are all okay. There's nothing wrong with them. But living with him, living consciously, every second of every day. If you're thinking about Jesus, then you are in continuous prayer. And the Bible tells us to pray ceaselessly, which would be me keeping your mind connected to Jesus every single second of every single day. Think about that. It all works out in the Bible. Have a great night. I'll be back with another video, God willing. Love, joy, and peace, people. Bye bye now.